You can't hear me yet because I wasn't talking yet.
Okay, good.
Thank you and welcome.
Thank you so much.
And I don't even we're having trouble with lighting. What is happening today? But I'm so excited you're on here, and we're just going to go with the flow as you
Sure.
already are.
Yes. I just said, whenever we have to wait, this is a moment, this is a present.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah,
And
it's good.
and waiting for you. What does that bring out when you wait?
Yeah, I always feel like, okay, this is a moment I can take a moment to breathe and to connect to my wherever I am and go back to where I wanted to be. Because sometimes we are just so busy with everything. So for me, every time I have to wait, I feel like, thank you. Catch my breath, do some exercises, and it's totally fine. I don't want to put any stress on you. So take your time.
I love that. I seriously, I don't even know. I have never had lighting problem or anything, so I am really interested that this is happening today. But I love the fact that you say take your time, and I think and being conscious to whatever that is. Those are words that we hear, but what does that actually mean for you?
Consciousness.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a good question. For me, it means that I am aware of what my thinking is, aware of what's going on inside, aware of what I feel and I hear within me is important.
Mm.
That, yeah. As I think it's not all the time, but I do every day, like my yoga practice, and these are the moments when I really feel and talk to my soul is talking to me, and I feel like, okay, this is what we're going to do. Okay, I'll write it down and I'll follow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a reason I asked that question, because I think sometimes we hear these words, sometimes we hear these things, and it sounds good. It might even be beneficial, but we don't really know what to do with that. So, like
Mm.
you say, wait. And I so agree with you 100%. Waiting isn't always something that we're used to, something that maybe we consciously do well. And I think there's so much in those moments that even when we've got something else planned, it doesn't always necessarily do it exactly the same way. And sometimes when we're in that moment and we're waiting, it's in that moment that something
That
comes to us. There's a
right.
realization that maybe we wouldn't have taken that moment out to
Right.
actually
Yes,
think
I
about
totally
or
agree with
recognize.
you. I totally agree with you. And this year, like the 2022 is the year, the 22 is the number for the master plan. But
Oh,
I feel like we can make a plan and we can have our own master plan. But there's a bigger master plan, and we have to follow that master plan. And we need to use our intuition and to really tune in to the master plan and go with that flow. And that's what I feel. That's what's very important this year.
okay. We're going to have a really interesting conversation because, a lot of the time on the decision table, I talk to very logical, very strategic, very people that, these are the three sort of ways in which you do it. And
Yes.
I love when I get that moment, because I think, one of the things that I get to do is talk about human intelligence. And I think if we just pull that down for a second, part of human intelligence, so the data that comes in, then what we do with that data, and then the output of that data, that's for me human intelligence. And
Right.
one of those sides of it to me is kind of the intuition, relying on
Mm.
your gut, that
Yes.
kind of side of it. Now, in the
Mm.
past, when we've spoken like that, and just think in the business world, because I spend a lot of time in the business world and with a lot of leaders, it's not really something we talk about. It's not something that we necessarily keep track of or
No.
even make priority. Tell me, how can we see the benefit of it? How do we know that there is? I mean, we know that, you know that, I know that, because it's something that I've really relied on in making decisions.
And
How do
everyone
we?
knows it.
Yeah, but we don't know
Yeah.
it, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
Yes, I know, but we need that one moment, that wait, that moment of silence. The more silence you can bring to your table, the more wisdom, the more truth comes. Because when we talk too much, we just start to repeat some stories or whatever. But we can be silent and we can really see, okay, what is it that I'm going to bring here to the table? What is it that I want to take out of it? If you are tuned into that, you have a total different discussion.
Okay, so that's silence. How do we create the space for silence? Because I actually don't think we do that very well.
No. So that's the thing, that's a muscle to train.
Tell me
not
more.
to talk. And just to take a moment, to feel, okay, I hear you say that. And I don't need to respond straight away. I can let that sink in. I can come to my emotion. I can feel, can take that space and then respond. There's this affirmation that I have been going on like forever and ever and ever, and it's called me within me is the reality, me within me is the purity, me within me is the grace, I am the master of the space. And if you can remember that you are the master of your space, you are the master of your own space, and everyone on that table is the master of its own space. And if you come as an expert and you're open, you're listening, I think this is a skill, a very, very important skill that needs to be learned. And listening goes through the silence.
So there's a lot of noise in the world today.
Yes.
And a lot of that is, I believe that there's a lot of the old approach still in amongst what we're doing. Right. And part of that is adding to the noise, because there's some that are wanting to go, look, this isn't necessarily working the way we've done it in the past, the way that we've kept doing it. And they're going, okay, we want something that's going to disrupt the old patterns and give us some new results at the table. And I think that what you're talking about is something that is not necessarily something we've done in the old approach. No. So when there's lots of noise, how do we stop that noise and not add to that noise by going, hey, stop for a minute, we need to stop? But actually, in some ways, that's adding to that noise. How do we just bring it in? How does this add value?
It comes to the everyone needs to realize that everyone is bringing value just by being there. You don't need to scream. Yeah. And if we can look at each other and see and really feel, okay, I can add to that, and really see the beauty in everyone, and know what, okay, this, if we are together and we are here to bring something. And I was thinking, when I was feeling, okay, I'm going to be here, and I was really grateful. And I would say to myself, if I can add one thing to the decision table, that will be the question, what would love do? If you could have a seat for Mr. Love on your table, ask that person, okay, you have this discussion, and then you ask, okay, and what would Mr. Love do? Then you bring in a total different energy, and an energy that really unites you. Because all of us, we can feel what love is.
Mhm.
So maybe that's a step too far away, but I think this is where we want to go.
So how do we narrow that gap then? If it is too far away for
how do you feel?
people to be able to grasp that?
Yeah, could you grasp it? Because I think love is very...
Yeah, but I think I can. I really truly do. But I think I can because this is what I do all the time. This is really what's important to me. This is something, I talk about humanity as stakeholders. In other words, humanity being you and I, stakeholders, the measure of value. And I go, what if? What if you could make decisions that actually are going to be adding value to the human race, not taking away from? So for me, this doesn't seem too big at all. In fact, it seems a priority, a non-negotiable at the table. But right. I think just because it seems so easy for me and non-negotiable, and it's part of what my bigger vision to see that we add value to every decision we're making, that doesn't mean that it's a value or a priority or a non-negotiable for others at the table. Maybe, right. And maybe not because they don't want to see this as part of it, but maybe they don't even know where to start, or even that it's a priority or something that would add value. Yeah. And that's why I'm asking these questions, because I think, what you speak of is so important.
Yeah.
But I also think that we don't necessarily, in the old approach, have indicators that show us the importance of these things and why this needs to become non-negotiables at the table.
Right. Well, we see it all around us, right? Everyone is locked in their own houses. Everyone needs to go inside. That's what this whole pandemic is showing us. We need to learn to listen to each other. And you really need to see, okay, I'm here in my own little home and I'm good. I have this to give. When you don't feel happy at your own home, when you get crazy because of all the noises and all the things, then I need to change something.
Yeah. And so for me, this goes back to the importance of the environments you're either in or creating, or tell me more what you think. Like, what does that bring up for you when I say that?
Yeah, we need to be around people that really see the beauty in us, and we need to see the beauty in all of us. Because if you're not in a surrounding where people see the beauty in you, you just feel like you need to scream. You say, "But I'm so good," But if you just see it, if I see the beauty in you, I don't need to scream, and I can listen and I can feel, and we can have a real talk about the things that really matter. So that's
can I be honest? I look at you and I just go, you're beautiful. I love everything about you. I know that you're different, that you bring differences to the table. To me, that uniqueness is something that I value, something I want. In fact, it's part of my whole mission is how do we increase? And I don't talk about diversity at the table. I talk about distinctions at the table, because I think the one thing that we're all common is that you and I are human. So we're part of the human race, and we bring distinctions to the table. So part of what I want to see at the decision table, but in all the tables that I open up for others to come to, that it is a place where we are increasing the distinctions that come to the table. Now, if this is the case, and we're to listen and we're to feel comfortable about that, I don't know about you, but if we go back to the old approach was most people at the table looked the same, sounded the same, were saying the same things.
If you don't fit in, you're out. You feel so insecure and so not safe.
So I think this,
you need to fight. And you need to make friends and, bribe yourself and not be honest to yourself.
Mm.
That's what's happening. But it's hurting inside.
Mm.
I think
So
it hurts.
how do we? Because I think there's two sides to this. I think it's those that are different. How do we become more comfortable at a table where we don't look like everyone else, sound like everyone else? So I think there's that side of it. And then I think there's the other side. Maybe I've only ever invited the same people to the table, but now I want to invite different distinctions to the table. How do I do that? And I think these are where we start narrowing that gap from what we were saying earlier.
But just being clear in what you want, it will happen. If you say, okay, I want more diversity at the table, I am open to look. I don't want all the same people. I want to see everything from a different point of view. Just your words will make it happen. Because we really underestimate the power of the word. And whatever you sing, whatever you say, this is going to last forever. And if you are realizing that, and you really realize that, you really, okay, or I either have to live through it and it comes back to me, or it will bring something to me, then you will be more conscious of what you're saying. And that's the consciousness that, we see already so many people who have that consciousness. Of course, there's still many that are not there yet, but that's okay. We surround ourselves by people who do understand, and we inspire, and we keep ourselves clean, pure, and as uplifting as possible for ourselves and for the ones around us. And that's why I work with CEOs, because if we can, influence them, they have such an influence on the entire organization. The way they talk, the way they can inspire their people. They have it really matters what they say.
Yeah,
And
I
how they
100%, by the way, 100% agree with you that it matters what they say, because that filters into the culture that they build out.
Right.
And I think it goes back to this question that I had earlier, which is how do we know that this is actually adding value? And I'm saying it a lot because I really want, and I think that we have to continue to question, because by the way, I'm doing it a lot with my work. And that is, how do we show that these are really important? And here's a simple way to explain it. If in the business world, things like your bottom line, your bottom dollar, you want to know, is that profit going up? Is it going down? Those are simple indicators to tell us whether what we're doing is working or not.
Yes.
Things like, okay, our team's staying around. This is kind of, well, if they're not staying, there's something in our culture that's not working, right? So there's some really easy indicators to show us that something is working or not. And I think what is tricky, and somehow we need to, by the way, be able to find these. We need to find indicators so that other CEOs, other leaders can actually connect to those and see the benefit of this, because it's not that this isn't beneficial. I don't doubt that in 100 million years. The more conscious I've become as the years have got on, the better decisions I'm making, the way that I stay focused to the bigger vision.
Right.
What I get up to, what I don't get up to every day. And it's all intentional in that way. But I tell you, I know, because I'm keeping data on that, I don't think we do that well as a greater world. And I'm wondering how we can do that better, so that when you are talking to those CEOs, they know without a shadow of a doubt, because they can not just feel it, Because
But you
here's
can
the
also
thing.
have the figures.
Sometimes our feelings aren't the right way to feel, or they're not
Right,
going to be helpful, or maybe I'm not feeling it this way today, but I need to make a conscious decision to do this, because if I go with my feeling today, that is not going to add value to the decisions I'm going to make. So
right,
how do you do that in a way that, yes, intentional, yes, conscious, and yes, silence, but how do we really show this? And I think that's why I'm questioning it so much,
right.
because I'm seeing it when people are asking me, how do you really know when you're making decisions that are adding value, that we can actually say, okay, to our people, maybe they're stakeholders, because by the way, CEOs in a big organization have stakeholders, and they have got to go back to them and tell them, hey, we're doing this with our people. What do
Yeah.
they go back and show them? How do they show them?
Mm-hmm. That's the thing. But if the more healthy employees they have, the more healthy their company is, right? Because nowadays the people that work at companies, this is the real capital.
Mm,
And if they don't take good
yeah,
care of them, they'll lose them. And then
yeah.
they'll lose so much. So I think this is a real good way to bring it in and to make it sure how important it is that, whatever they feel and all the fears that they have and all the things that the CEOs have, it runs down the organization. And if they
Mm,
can resolve this,
yeah.
it also resolves into the people that work for them. And that will help. The more engaged they are and the more vital and more conscious they are, you will see it in your people.
Hmm.
And
It's interesting though, isn't it? Like, by the way, I'm not saying, I hope you've got the answer. Tell me that right now. I'm literally being curious about it,
right,
because one of the topics, the big topic actually for the Global Human Intelligence Forum in May, is literally around this concept of investing in human, capital, and how are we? What is that doing, not doing? What are we thinking? How could that look? What does it need not to look like? All that sort of thing. And so I'm really curious, because this is something that has come up so many times. Let's backtrack a little for a minute. Why is this so important to you? Where has this all come from for you?
yeah. Well, my journey into yoga was when I was
Mm,
still working in the financial industry, and I was not happy at my workplace. I was just,
yeah.
at, I had beautiful colleagues. I
Mm,
had a beautiful salary. Everything was like beautiful, but from the inside, I was so empty. I was just
mm,
like, whatever I do, someone else could do it too. I didn't matter. And whatever
mm,
I didn't really feel like I mattered. And that was something that really hurt me in a way that my whole physical body started to stop working properly.
mm,
And then I ended up doing yoga, a teacher training. And within 3 weeks, I felt so much better. Oh
mm,
my, everything was gone. I was like, oh, did I make it up? I was so vital again. And I had my own power back because
yeah.
what I did, I gave away my power,
Mm,
just because I wanted to fit in, just because I wanted to do what the boss told me to do, just I wanted to be one of them. But I am me and everyone is them,
mm,
So it's so important that we can empower people to really be themselves and to see the human behind the person. Because if
yeah.
we know that person, we know what's going on and we know what their strengths are, we know how
Mm,
to approach them, then you can really get the best out of them because people are not using their full potential when they're working. They're
mm,
not. Some are, but the majority is not. They're just going to work, get their money, and go back and have a good time at home. Now, but that's not what we came here for, I believe.
Why do you think we're not using our full potential?
Because it's one on the one hand, I think for the manager, if someone is working for them and they are really using their full potential, they are going to be better than that manager. And some managers can't stand that. And others are just like, okay, my life is okay. And, they just numb themselves and they're afraid of something new. But if I work with the people and if I can, I always see the potential in someone. And if I can make that person see the potential within himself, then I see such beautiful things happening, and they either start their own company or they really get into their power. And instead of the ones who are really like, oh no, we're not going to do it, they're like, yes, we should do it, and we should do it this way. And they're really going to be like the ones who really make the big changes because they have had that change within themselves.
Yeah.
So I am a really big fan of empowering everyone within the organization. And really, there's so much beauty within all of us, and everyone will find their place. And maybe some have to go and move to another place when they start on this empowering journey, because this happens. And this is something that managers fear, because then they have to find another one again. But I always say, this person would have gone anyway, either with a burnout or with a bore out, so be grateful that they find their way. And, you can always work together in a different way, or don't hold back, don't let people down. No, lift them up and see the light, because we need the light and we need this.
We so do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I one of the things I mean, there's so many beautiful pieces I want to pull out of that. But firstly, I know it's important, like from what you're saying there, and around that knowing inside, right? Like knowing who that is and what that is, so that you can bring that out and be empowered inside. I think that there could be, and I don't think this, I know because of the work that I do and with it leaders across the globe. There's almost this fear that if I become someone inside, that's me as an individual, that I have a vision, that I know where I'm going and I know what I'm about. And that can be kind of uncomfortable at some tables, because it might not be something someone else at the table relates to. It might not be looking like everyone else is doing. And this can feel quite, I mean, it can bring challenges. I know, because I've been in those moments where I've literally been outnumbered because no one else at that table could see it this way. Right. Understood even the thinking around why that was now important to me or where I was going. And that was okay. I just had to remove myself from that environment and have to go, how do I find people that get, and what I realized, by the way, was I couldn't get someone that understood all of it at that time, but I got people who understood pieces of it.
Right.
Yes. And so then I had people that supported me in those pieces. Right. And that was okay. And that was great until I really understood what it was all about. And then I could bring people on that journey, because now I can actually communicate it in a different way. So here's the thing. I think the awesomeness, and I totally agree, when we've got it as an individual, when we know within us what that is, what we're bringing, and then what platform or how we're using our platform to bring that and give it voice. Totally agree, 100%. And I think the challenge comes is that that's not always going to be how everyone else is doing it. It's not always. And so how do we continue to feel empowered when maybe it's pioneering something new. Maybe it's innovating a space that is not the normal space.
Right.
Have you got any thoughts around that or insights?
Yes, it's always good to be your own supporter at the first time. So really, really love yourself so much that you can support yourself in all of that challenges, and of course you listen to the people around you, but you know that these are the people that usually keep you down and want you to stay in the safe environment. But if you feel like, but this is not where I can grow, then there is a tribe for you that will help you grow. And just go and look for it. Find someone, even if you have one person beside yourself to really truly believe in you, you can make a change. You don't need a big organization.
Oh, that's so true. So
Really,
true.
because I'm in the Netherlands, and I'm teaching people in China how to bring yoga into the business. I teach people in Russia. If I'd stayed with the work where I was doing, I would never ever had these opportunities. But there was this voice within me, and it was bigger than me, and I was like, wow. I tried to keep it down, but it didn't work. So I was like,
Me too. I did too.
no,
And I'm like, I'm walking away. And
I'm
yet
not.
I cannot. I cannot.
You cannot. Once you hear this voice, it's so powerful.
I agree.
And then still, on my journey, I also organized a festival here in the Netherlands, a Kundalini Yoga festival. It was just like in the past December. And it's always very intense. We have like many workshops, and it's really like, it's really, you feel all the way up there. And then after it was online, so I closed my computer and I was like totally like, but now I'm by myself. And I was like,
Reality.
I felt all my drama. And then I needed to sleep because I didn't sleep too much. And then I slept, and I had in my meditation, I felt like, said, Kirtan, why are you so embracing your drama? It's really putting you down. You're not shining your light. You're doing this every day. You're doing the meditation, but I don't see it outside. So then I was like, okay, I'm going to drop my drama now. And I just did it like that. And I felt so light, and I felt like, wow, if just be aware of the drama you're carrying. Is it yours? No. Then just drop it. If you still need to do something with it, then do something with it. Go on with your life, because I don't know, here in the Netherlands, we have all these things going up that women have not been have been used and sexual misused. And I also have such not a good experience. And I was like, we were somewhere there, and it came up this morning. I had someone sending me a message about someone. I was like, oh, that's not a good memory I have. And then I felt like, okay, but I'm not going to let myself down. And I was like, okay, thank you for the invitation that I need to work on that. So if we, it's all about mindset and about loving ourselves. If we can choose love, I could love that person. I send them an email. I said, this came up today. And I'm not saying it to judge you, and I'm not going to make a big thing out of it. I'm not going to put your name out there, but I just wanted to say that, I kept it for a secret for so long, and I'm not going to carry my secret anymore. So, and I think that at the decision table also, there are many secrets that, that people have to carry, but it's heavy.
It is really heavy. You're giving me goosebumps because I think that has pressed on something that is so important, that we stop the secrets at the table. And we know that, I remember writing this book, and I never released it. It's a pretty intense book, and it actually has all of my story kind of entwined with some of the principles that, like, I just know fundamentals that have really helped not just me but other people, clients on the journey as well. And one day I'll release that book. I'll probably update it actually. But one of the things that I talked about a lot, because I had a lot of secrets, because they were things that people use their power in wrong ways.
Right.
And because of that, I was unable to have a voice because there was fear or consequences, or it was shame or guilt if I brought those secrets out to the world. And I think that we have had so much of that in the past, that there are a lot of things that if we bring it out, it may open up. It may, if we keep it there, it's only going to fester. It's only going to keep, what grows in the dark actually really expands in the dark as well, right? And,
That's really
and so
worse.
things like that are just not adding value at all. But it's kind of been the way that we've known. And I think going back to what you said and what gave me goosebumps was, that importance of the secrets and not having them at the table. But I think it comes back to what we've said and continue to say throughout this conversation is the empowerment of the individual, knowing who I am, knowing what I bring, and having strength and, just intention and consciousness in knowing what that is. And then bringing it to a safe space where I'm not only going to know that, but the collective are going to be willing to listen, willing to maybe not get it all, maybe not even understand 99% of it, but maybe there's something, just one thing that I may learn from the conversation. And I think that's where we've got to get to at the decision table, where we don't have to feel we've got secrets. We don't have to feel that we need to hold back. But that doesn't mean that we are going to add to the chaos.
No.
Or increase the noise.
No,
or the pain or the hurt.
No, that's exactly what I felt this morning. I really felt like, it's a secret. I've been carrying it and I'm not going to carry it anymore. So I'm sharing it with you that I'm not going to carry it anymore.
Beautiful.
But, and so I think, this is something really, you need courage. And in my book is about how to become a conscious leader, 5 vital lessons CEOs can learn from a yogi to build trust and make an impact. And there's like 5 vital lessons. And one of them is really, you have to learn to know who you are and to really love yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you love yourself, then from there, no one can take out, because there's enough love. No one can, of course, maybe they take a little, but you can feel it again. It's not like before I remember that I felt like my heart was like it was just like love fell in, but it also just dropped down. I couldn't hold it.
Yeah.
And then I realized, okay, something needs to change. So then in 2008, I felt like, okay, I need to marry myself. I need to be truthful to myself. So that's the first step I did. But then still, I don't know, maybe I...
Hey, can I ask a question? Did you enjoy being married to yourself?
Yes.
See,
it was
that's
good.
key.
Yes. But it wasn't enough for me.
Oh, tell me more.
Because still I wasn't truly true to myself. I still went in that same pattern of giving myself away or letting people come too close or not really showing who I am and not really, and just following someone. And like, I need a little more power, I felt. And that's when I in 2015 I gave my head to the guru, and I became a Sikh. And that means that
Wow.
I really felt like, okay, now I'm not going to live from my ego anymore. I'm really going to live from my heart. And I'm going to, so I married like the eternal infinity. So, and I really
Wow.
married, and I feel this love. It comes from the inside, and it never, ever, oh, anyone can take from it. Everyone is going to be like an added value to my life. But that's really, it's so empowering, because now when someone's, you know, people sometimes feel like, oh, you look different, and I really had to like, oh, I'm doing business yoga, so I should look like a yogi or like a business person. But then when I teach my first training, there were like three people wearing a turban, and I was like, this is what I want, because I feel like this is my crown, and I crown myself every day. I love myself every day for just doing that. And now I don't feel I'm wearing it, but before I was really looking, oh, how would you react to it? You know, I was really looking from the outside towards me, and that helped me so much just to feel and to really crown myself and love myself. And I think that the more self-love we can bring to the decision
Mm,
table, that's why I said if we can have that seed of love,
yeah.
just, or maybe just one little note, you know, you, they're always like these cards on the table where you have the password of the Wi-Fi or whatever, or
Mm,
your name. You can have one seed, love, and you really have
mm,
that, to give that seed a voice, and everyone will understand that voice.
yeah.
That will help so much
I
to
love that.
bring unity
Mm,
and to bring humanity back, because we
yeah.
all understand. If we talk the voice of
Mm,
love, everyone understand. So
yeah.
yeah.
So powerful. So powerful. And here's the thing. I also think one of the things that you brought up before, and actually there's two things. So I firstly, you've got to close the loop. You said one of your principles or whatever for CEOs. What are the
Yes.
other four? I need to
Okay.
know that first.
Okay.
Hmm.
First, so the first one, I'm gonna. I know them by heart, but I'm gonna just get them here that I don't forget, that I get them in the right order. So I said the first lesson is you create your own reality.
Mm,
So better create something beautiful, right?
yeah. Yeah.
The second one is your body is your temple.
Hmm.
You better treat it well with respect and dignity.
Yeah.
The third one is you're born with a specific number of breaths, so better
Mm.
use them wisely.
Oh, that's powerful. Mm,
The fourth one is you you have the courage to be vulnerable and to be authentic. Just learn to accept yourself and trust yourself and really relax in who
mm,
you are, because you are love in the end.
mm, mm,
And then the last one is connect to your higher frequency.
mm,
Because there, if you're connected to your higher frequency, your soul, you remember you have a higher purpose,
mm,
not just the one you're doing here as a human, but then you can connect to the bigger, the bigger you. And
mm,
from there you have, because I have like 5 C's. It always starts with becoming conscious. That's the first
mhm,
one. And if you become conscious of who you are and what it is that you're here to do, then you can commit to that.
mm,
And through your commitment, it will give you courage. And that, or it will give you character. And that character will give you courage. And that
mm.
courage will give you the power to live up to your caliber. So that's the 5 C's that I always use in my coaching. And I really feel like if we become conscious,
Yeah.
and and I'm also studying numerology, and
Mm,
based on your date of birth, I can give you 5 numbers, like how you relate to your soul, what it is that you need to learn here in your life, what is your gift, because we all have a gift. We all have a
Mm.
different gift. And also, the fourth number is what has your soul done before already? What have you already learned? What are your skills? What is the things that are really easy for you? And then the last one is your path. So what is the thing that really motivates you and makes you happy? And then based on these 5 numbers, I make your personal affirmation. And then if you repeat that one, you really talk to your soul. And the more we can talk to our soul, what of course we can do through meditation. But if you have it on a piece of paper, you have a nice picture of you where you feel happy and you read that out loud 11 times a day, or whenever you see it, you'll be reminded of the beauty of yourself. Because we don't hear that, when we are small, we didn't hear all the good things. We
Yeah.
hear all the things that we didn't do well, and we need to learn to change that. So there's like a meditation I do every day. You have to hold down your pinky finger and you just twist your wrist for 3 minutes, and your pinky finger is your finger of communication. So
Mm.
you twist your communication. And I always say, just think of all the things that you said the last 24 hours. And if it was negative, twist it around and project out that whatever you're going to say is going to uplift you, uplift others, and comes from your true self. That it's because if we can talk that way, we change the world. And we create a better world. So that's my.
Yeah, I love that. No, I love that. So, if anyone wants to connect with you, let's just get that piece because I don't want to forget that either. What's the best way they can connect with you to know more about what you've just spoken about?
Yes, well, you can go to my website. It's called www.investinyoga.com. Because when I started my company, I was still working at a bank, and I felt like, okay, we can invest in everything, but let's invest in ourselves. And that's the best investment. And I studied tourism, I mean, you can travel the world, but if
Yeah.
you travel within, wow, there's so much to explore. So I
That's kind
love
of
to
cool. I
do.
like that concept. I'm majorly visual, so I'm thinking, yeah, travel the world, which I did a lot. And then it's like, what if I could travel within? What would that look like? That's really
Yeah.
cool.
Yes, and I
Mm,
do like I love to do because I like to work short and powerfully sessions. So I do
mm,
like 6 coachings, and within these 6 weeks, we make
mm.
major transformational change. Because
Yeah, I love that.
I don't like I also have like longer programs, but always start with just 6 weeks and
Yeah.
see if we have a match, if you are able to commit, and if you're doing the exercise. Because I
Mm.
can tell you what to do, but you got to do it.
Yeah.
So I can
Yeah.
only
It's
be
so
the
true.
inspiration, and I can only say I can encourage you. I can do all of that, but I can't do it for you. You need to
Yeah.
do it yourself. And
Yeah.
this is also what I realized for myself, because when I'm doing yoga now since
Mm,
2004, and still every day I need to do it again and again and again,
mm.
because it's just like a muscle. It's the discipline, and it's
Yeah.
the beauty. These are the moments that I really feel like in bliss, and I'm like, I can stay here. But then my kids wake up and I need to bring them to school.
And
Then
maybe you can't stay there after all.
no, but still, it's good to be there. And I
Yeah.
really love, and I really love to work with people
Mm,
who feel that there's more within them than coming out.
mm,
They need to be a little bit awake, and they need to have that commitment and that
yeah.
eagerness to learn and to be open, that I can speak to their soul, that their mind might not understand their words that I'm speaking, but their soul understands. And by talking to their soul, they will really feel like, okay, it's time to breathe. Okay, and I should sit up
Mm,
straight. Okay, these little
yeah.
things, because
Yeah.
it's really in the little things we can make such an impact.
Yeah.
And also, I wrote another book. And it's called Bye Bye Stress in 9 minutes or less. And you can also download it from the site. And every day, my time in the morning, but I think it's your time, evening time, because I have many people from Australia joining me as well. Either I do like a session in the morning, and I call it shine your light and share your love, and you just reminded of that love and that beauty within you. And every day we just do the same thing over and over again, but the experience is different because
Yeah.
you're different. And I do it the same because I used to do everything, every time something new, but then I felt so going everywhere. I felt like, no, I need to focus and just do one thing and master it. And it's just bliss. I sit there, I share it with the people that come. So everyone, you can also, when you go to the website, you can sign up for that. Also for that, have an open mind, because I do prayer and it's in a different language.
Beautiful.
Just listen and feel what it means to you. And then, yeah, that's,
So here's something that I'd love. Uh, we're finishing up soon, but there's a couple of things that I want to do before we finish our conversation here. And one of them is that, one of the things that I'm seeing a lot with CEOs, founders, is the stress. And last year, after a couple of years of very different years to the past, and challenges that brought to the table, I saw a lot of leaders across the globe sort of just getting into the end of the year and just getting sort of scraping up to the end of the year. And then it's like, oh no, now we've got the new year. What is something we can do, and I'd love to do it literally right now, that in that moment when we're needing to create a space where we're not feeling that stress, we're not in, like listening to all that noise, we're not feeling the chaos, what can we do to remove ourselves from that?
Well, that's a really simple exercise. And what you do is you can just do it sitting on the chair, because all my meditations you can do sitting on the chair. And what you do is you make your spine long and straight. And what we're going to do, we're going to flex our spine and we're going to move the energy. So we're going to inhale, bring your chest forward, and you're going to exhale. Can you see it? I don't know.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah,
okay.
It's good.
So it's like you inhale, you bring your chest forward, your shoulders just stay above your hips. And then when you exhale, you make your spine, you flex it. So it's just like this. And you close your eyes, you focus on the third eye point. And because your mind is going on, so there are always so many thoughts, we use a mantra. And the mantra we use is Sat, like my name, and then Nam. And Sat means truth. And Nam is just Nam, like name or identity. And by repeating these two sounds, you tell yourself, truth is my identity. Because there we come back, if we can speak our own truth, and if we can be who we are, there's no stress. We become stressful because there are secrets, there are things, but it's not us. We're carrying on. And if you do this for just a few minutes, like 3 minutes, you can feel the energy flowing through you. You can become nice and warm. And, they say in yoga, if you have a flexible spine, you stay young. And, all your nerves are just running through your spine, right? So if we keep that one flexible, it's so much easier for your body to bring the signals to the right points. So if you can you feel it?
Yeah, and I can, because it's interesting you talk about things like that, the signals to the right spots, and everything having flow to it. I talk about, even in business, the whole concept of, we're not building businesses, we should be building out ecosystems.
Right.
And I believe when you build out an ecosystem, like a smart, a sustainable growth ecosystem, you're actually building out something that gives you effortless flow throughout the pathways to the results that you're wanting to create. And, so in this case, that's where it feels like, when there's the signals talking to the right things, whether it be
Yes.
brain, whether it be limbs, whether it be functions within of, different pieces of us, and or our DNA, it is so important to have that effortless flow.
Right. Otherwise,
Mm.
the body needs to work so hard, and
Yeah.
you just become tired.
Yes.
And then you start eating the wrong food or drinking the wrong things, just because you don't have the energy from the inside.
Yeah.
But if your body is working fine, you can just live on water and like vegetables, and you don't need, you can have a healthy meal, and it will fill you and will really give you like this feeling, okay, yeah, I'm totally satisfied.
I love
Because
that.
because we're not totally aligned, then we have to work harder. So yeah, that's the first thing I always do with people. Just simple. And
I love that. And it's so easy to do, right? Like,
and
any of us can do that.
any of us.
And we can take that moment. If you have to close the office door and not have anyone come in that moment, it doesn't need to take a long time. It's just an intention. It's just a
Right.
conscious,
Yes.
mantra to say to yourself and do at the same time. I love that. So
Yes.
simple. So I
So
appreciate that.
simple.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the next thing that I just want to do before we close, and this is the only thing I do the same on every decision table, and that is to ask you, what are you taking from our conversation today?
I'm taking away the question you asked me 3 or 4 times. And I know I can be better at that. How can we make that gap smaller? So how can we really to talk to the left brain people, give them what are the things that they need so that they can open up to this space and they feel comfortable as well to invite more diversity, to invite more their heart. How can they come out of their head and just into their body? I know how to do it.
Yes. And because you know how to do it doesn't mean that others know how to do it. Or if I haven't even got the awareness to it,
Right.
because I'm not even going to go there, because
no, there's
why
like,
would I?
Yeah,
Why would I? What's the benefit of this? How can you show me that this is going to be worthy of my time, my money, my finance, my investment of whatever that is, right?
Yes.
And
so that's
I
really
think,
something.
yeah, I love that.
So thank you. And yeah, I love your energy. I watched another episode and I just love the way that you open the space and the way you listen. I think you really master that skill of listening. That's something I can feel. You really have the intention to hear what I'm saying. And if it's not clear, you just ask another question.
Yeah.
That's really something, because I feel like, she's listening to me. You make me feel like I can be myself and I can really show what I have to give. And that's really beautiful. So I want to thank you for that.
Wow, I really, really appreciate you saying that, because that is one of my intentions, is to create a space where I get to listen. I've never met you before. I've not had a conversation with you before. And so I wanted to, and it's one of the reasons I don't do it offline first, is I want to know who you really are. I don't want what you think I want to know. I want to know who you are. So one of the things that I want you to say for everyone, because this is only part of your name on here. How do you say your whole name? And it's such a beautiful name. And what is the meaning behind it?
Yes, that's true. It's not my like the name I was born with, but it's
I didn't think so.
No. But it's the name I was given.
Beautiful,
And
though.
actually, everyone can ask for a spiritual name. But so my first name is Sat Kirtan. So and Sat means truth, and Kirtan is the music they play in the temples in India. So it comes from India. And for me, when I translated it for myself, because when I grew up, I was always the one singing just differently. So they always told me should be quiet. And I was like, okay, why did I get this name? But for me, it's bringing the truth the way people can hear it. So yeah, I still have a way to go to really get to the people where they are at. But I just feel so connected to their souls. And I just talk to their soul because I feel like that's the highway.
Yeah.
And I love driving the highway. I never like to drive like small ways. My mom was a driving instructor and she would always let me drive on the highway. And then when we had to, she was training me how to stop. And, she's like, okay, this is a red light. And then I had to stop. Okay. And then the car would break down again. And I was like, oh, but on the highway, I was good. So I like highways.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I love that.
And Kaur Khalsa, Kaur means princess. And every like in Punjab, there is every Sikh women has the name Kaur, so you will see this more often. All the Sikh men have Singh, and then
yes,
I told you in 2015 I had this ceremony where I gave my head and I said, okay, I'm gonna live from my heart now. And then I got Khalsa as well. And Khalsa means the pure one. So I'm the princess who brings the purity and a way that you can hear it. And also I see the purity within you. That's why these 4 lines is like a little affirmation. I can send you the music of it as well.
I'd love to. Yeah.
He made a beautiful version of it. And it's me within me is the purity. Me within me is the reality. Me within me is the grace. I'm the master of the space. And that really empowers you. And I feel we need to empower each other.
Yes, I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Whew.
So,
I agree.
and what is it that
by
you
the way, yes, I'm going to say that, but I just want to say, Catherine says here in the comments, a powerful and beautiful show. Thank you both. So thank you, Catherine. What am I taking away from this? I'm taking away from our conversation. You reminded me of something that I think is really important, and that is creating spaces where secrets are just not acceptable at the table. And I think, how can I make sure that I'm allowing that space to happen? What do I consciously need to think about to allow that to happen? And how do I make sure that I'm not, falling back to sometimes that default system? Because I think all of us have default systems and vulnerabilities that unless we are conscious at times, that when it gets a little tricky, we default back to. And knowing, you brought back to the attention of me was the fact that that was a default system at one point, because that's all I did know. Like, you only know what you know. But now that you know it, I feel there's a responsibility and ownership. And so I just want to make sure that I'm bringing spaces where those secrets have no place. Like, it's, they can't hide in the dark there at all. And I want to make sure that I'm not defaulting back to. So thank you for that, like, reminder and bringing that back to my consciousness, because I think sometimes we need to, and particularly when you play in a bigger space, and in each year, at this moment in my life, I feel like my space is expanding and I'm having to play at a bigger space in a bigger way, that I don't forget some of those things, and just make sure I'm not letting it creep back in, or as it gets challenging or stresses come, I don't default back to that sort of.
How are you going to do that?
How am I going to do that? I think that's what I'm curious about as I continue to evolve and continue to bring it to attention. But I also think that, how am I going to do that? I'm going to also, and it's funny because I think you're very similar in this way, that you've talked about kind of like old patterns, and then you're going, like, if I have mantras, and basically you're rewiring to a different pattern. And that's what, if I'm not defaulting into secrets, or what am I creating? I'm creating a space where it's okay to be you. And if I can focus in on helping people, myself included, by the way, I never remove myself from this, to have the space, to have a voice, to feel seen, to feel heard, then there is no place for secrets.
Right.
And I hope that I can do that in bigger and better ways, and that I keep improving on that. And so that's what I'm going to focus in on, is being able to do that. And this year, I really do feel, it's funny because, you know, when I'm planning for the year ahead, was being able to literally create more tables to invite people to, and to have conversations. So this will be very much in the face of what I do as I continue this year. So thanks for asking that question. And that's truly how I see it. And yeah, that reminder literally makes me think to go back to that. All right, here's the thing. We are going to finish the live in a minute, but I just want to give you the space. Is there anything you wanted to say that you weren't able to say, or you want to finish up on? I'd love to give you that space right now, and then I'm going to end this broadcast. Don't you run away.
Yes, well, just when you said that, I just, because of the numerology, I just wanted to say, like, this year's number 6, it's, I just want to remind everyone to really focus on their intuition and to really learn to trust. The 6 is the meditation. So learn to meditate, embrace yourself. And I really, if anyone can take that sentence of the seed of love at the table and tell me if you did it, then I'd be so happy. I really feel like, wow, that's my impact, and I would love that. So yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, but I feel this year, if you're in any trouble, just drop your drama and ask, what would love do? And you'll find a way that's different than before.
Yeah.
Totally different, because before you probably went from fear or just, your beliefs, whatever. But if you choose what love would do, if you just listen, ask the question, what would love do? You'll get the right answer that will bring you to the right person. And that's what I pray for everyone. Also, that's one good thing to do this year. Pray. Now, if you don't know it, just pray. So, yeah. I can go on.
You are awesome, and I appreciate the love that you bring to this conversation today, and I can't wait to see what our listeners have taken from it, and then the seeds of love that they start sowing. So
Yeah,
reach
let me
out to
know and
us
just
and
reach
let us
out
know.
because I
Yeah.
would love to hear from you. So and join me on my sessions, whatever. Just reach out. I'd love to serve you and be there for you.
Thank you. I'm going to end this broadcast now.
Great.